All right, really good session here as we end just shy of yesterday's highs, but you can pretty much call it a meet to yesterday's levels from intraday before we faded. So that's the first step, recover what we lost yesterday in the afternoon. Now, there's a couple of key things that I'm watching. It's pretty straightforward. I think the charts kind of tell it clearly now technically. Just looking at the last 5 days, I'm going to take a look at a couple charts here that I think give you a good idea of where the battle lines are going into tomorrow, basically, because it would be really good to get some follow through into the weekend. That would be huge if we can actually add on to what we've already gotten. So looking at Bitcoin, number one, it's working really well as a gauge of risk appetite again. Love when Bitcoin's utility comes back to the forefront. Yesterday it gave the heads up the stocks were going to fade early on, and then today it was very clear and loud. That's what's great about Bitcoin. It's very loud when it's connected to the risk spectrum. It tells you pretty clearly which direction we're going. So today it worked again. That means for BTC, basically at 60K, you can trace the gap from last Friday into the week. This is now what we're dealing with. That would be huge if Bitcoin can close that gap. That takes you basically to 63 up there from Friday before the overnight breakdown. So if Bitcoin starts off tomorrow or overnight creeping into that gap, then that basically opens up a lot of opportunities for risk assets, I think, more generally. Now, bonds also crucial, I think, because right now treasury selling is a good thing. It's a good thing. You want to see good data. So this is more kind of thinking about next week a little bit, but it still drives home the point. The 10-year back to 4%. That takes us back to where we were actually Friday before we got the numbers. So that's pretty good. That's telling us that we've got really a lot of things lining up. Bitcoin getting back, trying to get to the gap through Friday. Bonds are already there, so bonds have already recovered a lot since employment, all of it. Bitcoin, basically everything with the exception of the weekend crash. So the point is that if bonds are here, then maybe we get a full retracement to the other stuff, which would take the Bitcoin to 63, which would take the S&P 500 closer to 54. Maybe it doesn't have to get exactly there, actually, but look at today's session. 53.40, basically yesterday's high. Okay, that's good, but we still have gaps on the chart to deal with. The S&P is a little bit more frustrating, as we talked about with KG, the 53.80 from earlier in the first drop off in the week coming in from the weekend. So that still is a level that we haven't gotten through yet. And then after that, if stocks are going to go the way bonds have already gone and the way it looks like Bitcoin wants to go, then you've got another gap still ahead. Basically, 53.80 is kind of the next level to think about for tomorrow. That would be a huge success if we can do that, to just keep taking off gaps from the chart. But then, of course, that means that next week's project is to get through to 5,400, which looks like it's going to be a tougher challenge. So one step at a time, we're moving forward. Let's just hope it's in the same direction tomorrow.